So I now move on to item number 4 on the agenda, which is the open question period. Are there any members of the gallery who would like to answer questions? Yes, Mr. Levickov. Welcome back.
Thank you. I have a few questions, so I've just asked that everyone keeps their answers as brief as possible, and also so that recording devices can understand clearly what you're saying. Please speak as loudly as possible so that it can be accurately quoted. So my first question is a follow-up to the September 25th presentation about the Student Choice Initiative by the Vice President, Finance Administration. But only BUSU fees were listed, and I just want to know what was the opt-out rate for the Brock Press.
Councillor Gillard, would you like to answer the question?
You want to come back to that so I can pull it open?
Thank you. Is there a no campaign for the constitutional amendment?
Are there any councillors? Yeah, Councillor.
No, there is not.
Last week, on October 9th, Mr. Khan said that BUSU would use social media to communicate the question and the existence of the no campaign. The first post was October 16th, 1 week later, and there was nothing to contextualize the proposal. Madam Speaker, why was there a 1 week delay, and why has BUSU not published a press release to explain the situation?
Are there any councillors who wish to answer this question? Councillor.
So at BUSA, we don't have the practice of releasing press releases, so that's something we haven't done in our recent history at least, but we do utilize other social media mechanisms to promote referendums and anything else, and that was something that was posted on BUSA social media, Facebook and Instagram.
I can only ask questions, or I'd follow up, but that's fine. I'll just phrase everything as a question. So my next question is about the legal advice that BUSU received. When, as in on what date, did the legal advice, was it received, and which BUSU official received the legal advice?
Was that directed at Councillor Khan? Or are there any specific councillors who wish to answer that question? Or
Whomever can give me the accurate answer.
are there any councillors who wish to answer that question? Councillor Khan?
We received advice from our legal counsel on multiple occasions regarding this issue. I'm not sure how relevant the specific date is. It is for you if that is something you're looking for. You can definitely let you know what that is. And if you can repeat your second half of the question.
Which BUSU official had the meeting with the legal team?
It was Robert Wilson, our general manager.
Last week, it was indicated that referendum quality assurance met on Tuesday, October 8th to create the referendum question for the constitutional amendment. When was the appendix written, and who wrote the appendix?
Are there any councillors who wish to answer this question? Councillor Khan?
Sorry if I made any correction to my previous statement. So the legal advice was received by Robert Wilson as well as Ron Bowman, our governance person at BUSU. And sorry, can you repeat your second question?
The question is, who wrote the appendix? Who edited the BUSU Constitution to turn it into bylaw number 1?
The appendix was, Madam Speaker, and the appendix was drafted by
So the powers of BUSAC have been reduced in this appendix. Legislation regarding elections and committees were removed. Article 4, which is BUSAC, says that BUSAC's powers include to legislate as to the conduct and format of elections for office within BUSU. So how is that currently being enacted? How is BUSU currently, or BUSAC currently, legislating as to the conduct and format of elections within BUSU?
Are there any councillors who wish to answer this question?
So I'm actually looking for legal counsel stuff. So if it's being directed at me, is
No
that
one in particular.
Mr. Levickov, through you, Madam Chair. Mr. Levickov, could you just repeat that? I was actually looking
Yes.
for the answer to your first question.
Okay.
And as a result, I didn't hear you clearly.
Currently in the Constitution, it says that BUSAC's powers include to legislate as to the conduct and format of elections for office within BUSU. How is that currently enacted?
So in terms of bylaws are passed right now through BUSAC, And they're actually, in terms of the actual bylaw, it indicates that it needs to come to BUSAC for 2 meetings. That's how a change to a bylaw is currently proceeds.
And so the format of elections are defined by bylaw 400.
That's correct.
Okay. Also removed from Article 7 is to establish an administration, the organization of committees, organizations and committees which serve the best interests of the organization. This has been removed from Article 7, was not given to the board. Why is it that committees have been removed from BUSAC? 2 questions. Will there be BUSAC committees in the future? And secondly, will the board be taking over all committees?
Councilor Khan?
So as it currently stands, to my understanding, there is no removal of BUSAC committees.
I'm sorry, could you say that again, please?
But I said, to my understanding, at this stage, there is no removal of BUSAC committees in the amended constitution. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, we could pull up the appendix if it pleases council. Yes, in Article 7, it's a red line through establish an administration or organization and committees. And if I'm wrong, I don't mind being corrected.
I don't think at this point it would be necessary to pull up the bylaw.
Thank you. Does the... Yep.
Sorry, I would be more than willing to get that probably after the fact. Does that work?
Yes, I just will hope that council will understand if they will have committees next year or not. Because I don't understand yet. So, certainly. Moving forward. If BUSAC is not responsible for legislation, for executive reports, which actually is a question I was going to ask about, but let's get to it. Exec accountability, so just a little bit of background. Also removed is executives will report to BUSAC. Now executives will report to the board of directors, as well as executives will provide as well as accountability. Officers will be accountable to BUSAC, removed, and it is now officers will be accountable to the board of directors. So with that said, what's the role of BUSAC? I know last time you said clubs funding. So I'll just read the question so it's phrased correctly. If BUSAC is no longer responsible for legislation, executive reports, executive accountability, committees, or elections, why exactly does BUSAC matter?
Is there any Councilor Khan?
If I may go through the list of things that BUSAC will continue to do that as it has always done, that would be appropriate, Madam Speaker. So BUSAC will continue to have the responsibility for the conduct of the work of the corporation as may be delegated to it by the board. BUSAC will continue to present the needs of and concerns of its constituents. BUSAC will continue to provide political direction and external priorities for the organization. BUSAC will continue to approve capital expenditures, club expenditure requests, and audited financial statements. BUSAC will continue to set election, referendum, and general meeting dates. BUSAC will continue to ratify the election results. BUSAC will continue to review the approved budget as passed by the board. And BUSAC will continue to fill temporary seats on the board of directors. So there is still a vast list of responsibilities that BUSAC is tasked with after that successful constitutional referendum.
Are you able to send me what you've just read so that I can very clearly, I wouldn't want to miss what you said. So what are you reading? And
Point of information that will be included in this week's minutes when they are posted.
that's 3 weeks from now, if I'm lucky.
For clarification again, if you would like me to email them to you, I am happy to. However, they should be posted within 2 weeks and publicly accessible at that point. And the information and details pertaining to said meeting should be publicly accessible after being approved by this body.
Thank you. So, question just to follow up, what did you just read?
That was a script from an existing constitution that's not being removed in the amended version.
Okay. Okay, so it's just whatever remained out of Article 7.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, if I may just add some words based on some of the part of the question pertained, was directed indirectly or directly to the BUSAC counselors, student at-larges, and faculty representatives. One part of this is, first I'll say that members of the board, and especially Mr. Khan, have been very clear about the spirit and the whole purpose and the motivation for this constitutional referendum, and they presented all that information. So it's based on what we have to do to legally comply as a not-for-profit. And so through this entire process, all members of BUSAC have been fully aware of what these mean. And I'd just like to clarify that, at least from my perspective, and I feel that many councillors feel the same way, is that we are completely on the same page. It is cited a lot of times in various parts of our legislation that the key mandates within BUSU as a whole is transparency and student interest in these kinds of themes. And if there was, if there's any concern that myself and many of the other councillors may have brought it forward, but that has not happened yet at all. Everything seems extremely in line with the purposes of BUSU as a whole, as it pertains to the constitutional referendum. So I just like to point out that from my perspective, as student councillor who comes to these meetings and I volunteer to help contribute to our organization, that I've been very satisfied with the transparency and the communication that's been involved, and I just wanted to make that since I felt that part of the question kind of was talking about how BUSAC feels about what has been happening and the changes. And I'm fully confident that with everything that's happening and through the entire process, that we will continue to work things out, holding student interest as a priority, as well as the other themes that pertain to this.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. And thank you, Mr. Ligipaldi. At this point, our 10-minute question period has been exhausted. If there are any councillors who wish to make a motion to extend the question period, that will also be in order. So the floor is now open for any councillors who wish to make a motion. Yes, Councillor Johnson.
Extend it like 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I'd like to respond to the previous question.
Okay. Are there any councillors who wish to second this motion?
Just a point of information, is there any way we can amend that to
May I?
you can respond and then
I took an hour-and-a-half bus to get here. I'm spending my own money.
Madam Speaker, that's fine. If I could add just a small clarification. According to our standing orders of council, it is said that the question period is meant for students and members of our corporation to ask any questions with regards to the agenda, things of how BUSU operates as a whole. And to my understanding, the questions being asked are not posed from the student who does not have to sit through these meetings. While I do appreciate the effort and the energy taken in, these questions could have been submitted to us prior and we would have gotten back to you. There's a lot of students here in the room who are putting their classes on hold, who are studying for their finals, midterms, whatever that it is, and I think we should keep that in mind as well.
Thank you. With that being said, we will
Is there a seconder to the motion?
we will allow this motion to go forth if there is a second. Okay, seconded by Han. All those in favor, please raise your placards.
5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. No problem.
Please keep your placards up. Thank you. All those opposed? Please raise your placards.
Hey.
And all those abstaining? Okay, this motion passes. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Has there been any sense of regret that BUSU must take this path, of course referring to the Constitution Amendment, that it is unfortunate because there's a negative impact on the democratic representation of system of BUSAC? Was there any resistance to the idea due to the negative impact it has on representation?
Are there any councilors who wish to answer this question? Councilor,
Thank you for that question, and I think I bring a board's perspective on this. First and foremost, I think it is important to understand, and I'm going to reiterate this, is that the fact that we are doing this is to become compliant with the Corporations Act.
Yes.
So the fact that we want to do this so we're compliant, so we can move forward efficiently and effectively as a corporation.
Yeah.
Then there should be no negative sentiment, given that we are only being compliant. And as promised, a review will be done to ensure that student representation will be held at top priority.
Okay. So at no point was it like, oh, this sucks, let's not do this. Is there a way around this? Do we have to do this? Was there any resistance to the idea, or was it like, well, we got the lawyer's advice, I guess we'll just do that right away? That's kind of the question.
Point of clarification, are you asking counselors in the room if there was ever a point at which they felt like not complying with law?
Well, if
Because that could be a
no.
concerning question.
It's not whether or not the law should be complied with, but whether or not it's right. Yeah, we all are subject to laws, but sometimes laws don't feel right. And has there ever been the feeling like, hey, we need to resist this particular motion because council will have a dramatic change?
are there any councilors who wish to, is there a point of? Would you like to answer this question?
I'd like to speak about the representation piece. At no point in time is any representation and opportunity of hearing student voice being taken away as a result of us complying with the law. The only thing, and I'm sure it's been well gone through the changes to the amendment, the changes to the Constitution, it doesn't in any way stop students from being able to voice how they feel about whatever it is that they feel about the corporation and the school. It just changes the way operations work. Like it changes the way who decides what, and at the end of the day, students still get to have a say in that, and representation has never been threatened, and the government would never do something like that. Thank you.
Sure. Of course, no longer will executives report to BUSAC, and board meetings are, of course, behind closed doors. There's no BrockTV cameras.
Is this a question for you?
Thank you. Just to clarify, Mr. Johnson was on the GEN committee last year during the October 2008 infraction report?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I was.
Yes. Mr. Johnson still on this committee?
Madam Speaker, I
And you're familiar with the text of the report from 2018? So like the questions for Mr. Johnson is, in what way is BUSU being held accountable for the promises of the report?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I'll try to be brief. All of the, I made many reports to BUSAC throughout the process in terms of what we wanted to look into after the October 2018 referendum, and so those are all clear. If you'd like to look back at them on the BrockTV Facebook page. And then as for everything else, I guess it's something where I'm not sure. It's a very broad question, I guess.
I've characterized it as BUSU did nothing. Am I wrong?
Madam Speaker, so just to clarify, there were steps taken to approach situations differently, including an amendment to bylaw 400. All that information is visible because I don't remember it right now. It was last year, but we did amend bylaws and we did make changes to our process, and all of that was a collaborative approach with the CRO last year, as well as with our committee and with all of these.
How long a time?
You have 14 seconds left.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Licali. We will now move on to item number 5 of the agenda, which is report to the speaker. At this time, there's nothing really pressing. Thank you all for coming today. Moving on to item number 6 of the agenda, which is the capital request second reading. I now call upon the representative from Business Operations to present the second reading, if they are present at this moment. Oh,
Okay. One second here. So I'm actually representing on this particular motion Heather McLean. Heather McLean serves our Director of Business Operations. Heather presented at our last BUSAC meeting, and we at BUSU, we run all of our point of sale machines off of the server. So General Brock Business has the only station, and then also Isaac's all run off one the point of sale system runs off of a single server. In the General Rock, they run a system called Catapult, and then Digital Dining is what we use for our other business operations. The server that we're currently running is running Windows 7. The actual Windows 7 actually expires January the 13th of 2020, which means that we will no longer receive any sort of updates. So it's something that we do have to change. We will be moving to Windows 10, which will have support until 2025. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. And so in terms of the total cost for that, which I believe there's the result motion, is $9,066.57. The question may be, why is this being sort of sole sourced, and why is it? We actually use an integrator, so we don't actually have an ITS person on staff. We use a third-party company called Plexus. Plexus manages IT for our department. They are a Dell service provider. All of the servers that they use are